Stephen, is that recording? Can you see the recorded sign?
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the How Money Works Masterclass Part 2. This is where you'll continue to learn to stop being a sucker when it comes to your money. I'm Beck Welk, and I'm joined with Stephen Ferrulo, and we'll be your financial educators for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. Financial literacy continues here. So if you're a part of Masterclass Part 1, you're already on your journey, but if you're just joining us today, you'll be okay. We'll kind of recap a little bit what we mentioned a couple of weeks ago tonight. So tonight we'll be covering the 7 money milestones. It's a step-by-step action plan designed to help you chart the course from where you are today to financial security and independence. The good news is that no one is too far ahead of you or too far behind you to benefit from these milestones. So if you were here at Masterclass Part 1, you would have met the characters from the book. We'll continue to mention them tonight. If you have got a copy of the book, great. We'll be using that tonight. If you don't have a copy of the book, feel free to ask us for a copy of the book afterwards, and we'll get that sent out to you straight as soon as we possibly can. Again, feel free to make notes in your books. If you have any questions as well, feel free to write them down so you can ask us later for them. So each milestone is a critical step to help you reach your financial summit. Because of this time we're spending together tonight, you're increasing your financial literacy concept by concept, strategy by strategy, and learning to take control of your personal finances, which will help give you the confidence to discuss your situation with a financial professional, which we strongly recommend. The first milestone as we start today's class is one you're already on your way to completing. You've begun milestone number 1, financial education. And with this part of this course, Masterclass Part 1, you already experienced. But like I said earlier, you're going to continue to see parts of Masterclass 1 in tonight's class as well. So you're not missing out on a lot. You're still learning. You're getting a recap of everything, and we're kind of just building onto everything and putting it together so it makes a complete part. So you're becoming more financially ready with each page, and a financial professional is the best person to turn to for questions on details. Like I said earlier, we can discuss this with you if you don't have one or need help choosing a financial professional. So here's another way to say it. In the war of your money, there are 2 essential tools you'll need to win. We know that the best starting point for everyone is to combine a financial education with a financial professional. Take this education seriously. You didn't get this from your school, your parents, or your friends. Treat your finances with the level of education you put into your health. Google things, ask questions, but then turn to someone you trust that does this for a living. This is the time when you can put everything you've learned into action with your financial professional, who can assist you to crunch the numbers, chart your path, choose products, stay accountable, and course correct along the way. Do not try this alone. Remember what Art of War author Sun Tzu said, "Without local guides, your enemy employs the land as a weapon against you." We all need a guide, and make no mistake, we're battling forces who want to take control of our money, so we'll remain a sucker for life. By finishing this course and establishing a financial professional as your guide, you'll complete milestone number 1. Right. Sorry about that. I'm having a problem, but that's okay. So moving on to milestone number 2 is proper protection, and it's important for this reason. You need to protect yourself and your family from a possible future loss or income or savings before you begin the rest of this journey. If you were to die prematurely, your family could be left without your income in addition to being without you. Your current savings may not be enough to take care of them. Through protecting yourself, Though protecting yourself is more important than protecting your property, as Thomas Paine put it, you might not be able to fully protect yourself from illness or accidents, but you can protect your income and your wealth. Ironically, protection of your financial assets is called life insurance. It's a defensive strategy motivated by a sense of love, responsibility, or both. So, how much life insurance should you have? The answer is it's different for everyone based on your current financial situation. However, as a rule of thumb, we recommend you consider having life insurance coverage that is at least 10 times your annual family income. For example, if you earn $50,000 a year, you should consider $500,000 in coverage. At a conservative 5% rate of return, that would replace half of your income. For a more specific calculation of your family's needs, ask your financial professional. Together, you can consider factors like how old you are, how much debt you have, your health, your number of dependents, your role in your business, and your overall financial situation. Many people, like Dana here, didn't know that 10 times of your income was just the starting point for protecting your income. Sounds expensive, but you need to look closer into it before you decide you can't do it. You may be pleasantly surprised. The same people who underestimate how much life insurance they need have a tendency to overestimate how much it will cost. Both assumptions can keep families from putting proper protection in place. As Insure.com says, only 59% of Americans have life insurance, and about half of those are underinsured. You and your financial professional should cover short-term and long-term debts and other outstanding loans, your financial goals, your mortgage or rent payments, how old your children are, and how much their education could cost. Just like with so many things, life insurance, with all of the options out there, seems complex at first, but once you know a little, it becomes far simpler. To start, it's important to understand that all life insurance usually falls into two basic categories: temporary and permanent. Let's look at a term life insurance, which provides coverage for a specified period of time, like 10, 20, or 30 years. It's the most affordable life insurance available because it provides one core feature, a death benefit, which is the money paid to the beneficiary when the insured dies, and because it expires after the term. With term life insurance, it's possible to have financial protection for your family or business with a relatively small monthly payment. This can make it a fit for anyone with a limited budget during times of highest financial responsibility, like raising your children, paying off things like your mortgage or college, and running your company, if you're a business owner. But what happens when the term on the insurance ends? There are two scenarios you can look at. Scenario one is that you don't need coverage anymore. You can simply let your policy end. No fuss, no muss. But what if after your term, you still need coverage because you're still paying off your home, or you're a single income couple? Or maybe you're supporting grown children or grandchildren, or you're still running your company. For these reasons and others, you might consider scenario two, keeping term insurance. If you're in good health or your term policy has guaranteed insurability, you might be able to renew your old policy. But remember, if you want a completely new term policy, you have to qualify medically again. If you can't qualify, a new term policy might not be an option for you. If you do qualify, the new policy will cost more because of your age. The older you are, the more expensive new term life insurance will be. So this is what we call the financial X wave. In your younger years, represented in the blue on the left, You typically have more responsibility and less accumulated wealth. In your later years, the yellow side, the plan is for your accumulated wealth to increase as your responsibilities hopefully decrease. Term insurance is typically most useful when your responsibilities are higher and your wealth is lower, which is on the left side. If these two factors flip later in life as planned, term insurance becomes less practical, and your financial professional can help you look at how the X wave could be applied to your situation. Now we'll take a look at permanent life insurance. Like term, it provides a death benefit to protect your family financially. However, permanent insurance is designed to be kept and protect you for your entire life, not just a period like term. Think of permanent life insurance as a lifelong strategy that can protect your family today, secure your wealth in the future, and provide for your family after you're gone. There are three important benefits of permanent life insurance. Number one is life insurance protection for your entire life. Two, with many permanent life policies, you can add long-term care as an optional rider. And number three is your accumulated cash value, which can give you the flexibility with the premiums. What this means is that if you ever can't pay your premium for some reason, they can be paid out of your cash value. Other benefits that can be included with a permanent life insurance strategy can be advantages like absolutely no market risk, long-term care coverage, tax-free growth, tax-free income, and a tax-free legacy. Avoiding taxes is extremely important to consider because it can directly and significantly impact how much money you'll live on in retirement and the amount you leave in your heirs. So let's talk about the cash value component of permanent insurance and why it can be so important. A portion of your monthly premium is set aside in an account that grows over the life of your policy. The money in that account is your cash accumulation and can be used to fund future purchases. You'll see a few possibilities on the screen there. In addition to no market risk and tax-free growth, income, and legacy, as we just mentioned, life insurance cash value can also be creditor proof, which means creditors can't come after it. When you look at them all together, the advantages of the cash value benefit are very powerful. So we saw that long-term care can be added to a permanent life insurance policy as a rider. So let's talk about the importance of long-term care insurance for a moment. You may not know this, but 70% of people age 65 and over will need some type of long-term care services and support at some point in their lifetime. In other words, statistically, you will need it. But here's the thing, only 8% of people over the age of 55 have purchased long-term care insurance coverage. That sounds like a possible problem, and it's an expensive one waiting to happen. Long-term care insurance helps cover out-of-pocket expenses that can really add up. It can be used to pay for qualified services like nursing home care, home health care, assisted living care, or adult daycare, and you'll never know if or when you might need it. And if you do, the average long-term care need, if more than 1 year, lasts 3.9 years. As you can see here, the average total cost can be a crippling expense if not covered by a policy. The cost without long-term care coverage could drain one or more of your savings assets, which you are counting on for the future. There are a couple of long-term care options that you should look at. The first is a traditional standalone policy. Even if you don't have life insurance, you can go directly to an insurance company to purchase a standalone long-term care policy. Or you can opt to add a rider to your permanent life insurance policy. If it's available for your permanent life insurance policy, you can add long-term care protection to the policy in the form of a rider for an extra cost. So everyone should be looking into this option. If you go with option one and buy a traditional standalone policy, there are a few things you should know, like the fact that premiums start low, but insurance companies can raise the rates on them. Also, you usually pay for care upfront out of your own pocket. Then you get reimbursed, which can be seen as an inconvenience during a difficult time. Another thing to keep in mind is with the standalone option is that you could spend thousands on premiums and get nothing back in return. Although there is a 70% chance you'll need long-term care protection, there's also a 30% chance you won't. Or you can go with option 2 and choose to add a long-term care rider to a permanent life insurance policy. A key advantage of this option is that life insurance companies typically don't raise rates for life insurance policyholders. Some insurance companies, after a waiting period, pay you money to cover long-term care expenses, which you can spend however you see fit. No need to submit receipts once the eligibility requirements have been met. Coupling your life and long-term care protection can equal a big savings. If you're one of the lucky 30% who ends up not needing long-term care coverage, your premiums aren't wasted. Instead, your family receives a larger tax-free death benefit. Long-term care riders aren't the only riders available. You can also consider the other living benefits like critic and chronic illness riders that can help save the day if you face any of the health challenges like you see on the screen. You should discuss adding these riders to your permanent life insurance policy with your financial professional. Some are inexpensive and even cost nothing extra to add.
Awesome. So now, guys, once you have milestone 2 covered, it's time to tackle milestone 3, creating your emergency fund. And we recommend that you save at least 3 to 6 months of your annual income to prepare for any unexpected expenses, unforeseen medical bills, home appliance repairs, or replacements and hassles like major car fixes. And don't forget, the costliest of all is possible unemployment. So if you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, like many people are today, your emergency fund could be the insulation that separates you from financial disaster if something happens. Check out these.
Whoa.
There.
Some feedback.
Is this still happening?
Yeah.
And maybe mute yourself.
Let's try that. Sorry, everyone.
There we go. Awesome. So, so if you check out these samples here, these sample annual incomes and how much you'll need to fit our 3 to 6 month income guideline. So TJ has a good suggestion here, which you might be thinking too. Where do you get the money to create an emergency fund? The best tactic, especially if income is tight, like it is for most, is to put away just a little bit every month until you reach our suggested goal of about 3 to 6 months of income saved. So think of it like a debt payment to yourself, due until you achieve your emergency fund goal. And so there are 2 rules of an emergency fund. Rule number 1, your emergency fund is only for unexpected emergencies. That's all. It's not for gifts, getaways, or BOGO sales, shopping online. It doesn't matter if it sits in your checking, savings, or a separate account, as long as you're not tempted to use it for anything but a real emergency. So rule number 2 is if you need to use your emergency fund to fix a car, replace a fridge, pay for braces for the kids, don't hesitate to use this money. That's actually what it's for. Just make sure that afterwards you add back in a little bit of money each month until you replenish the emergency fund. So once you've worked with a financial professional to square away your proper protection and your emergency fund, Now it's time to talk about managing your debt. Milestone 4. Because you can fully enjoy before you can actually enjoy financial security and independence, you're going to need to look at your spending habits and really strive to reduce and eventually eliminate your debt. And we hate to say this, but in our culture, debt is a sweeping crisis perpetuated by a society of suckers led astray by the instant gratification desires of their generation. And that's a mouthful, but it's true. There's no shame in admitting you struggle with debt, as it's one of the most common threats to having a sound financial future. But it's something that we have to face, and it's best to face it head on with the support of your financial professional. Now, the average American today has $28,900 in personal debt, not including mortgages. And many have much more than that. And don't forget, over half of Americans suffer from some kind of anxiety related to debt. When debt is removed, we can now enjoy life more fully and more freely. So things have been hard with all that's been happening and going on this past year. So here are the 5 tips to eliminate and stay out of debt. Know what you owe. No more late payments. Go after one debt at a time. Stop charging and cancel unused subscriptions, and consider refinancing your mortgage. Let's dig into each tip, starting with know what you owe. Now, we suggest that you make a list of all your credit cards, debts, and loans. And it may sound tedious, but you'll feel so much better when you have your arms around these numbers and information. For each debt, write down your numbers and the dates. Then, once a year, pull your credit report from one of these free online services. Make sure it's accurate and up to date. By law, every American has the right to a free credit report every 12 months. You can just go to annualcreditreport.com to get yours. And check the websites of the top credit reporting agencies for pointers to improve your score and report errors. Look for the word dispute. Paying after the due date hurts your credit score and can accrue late fees. So a good credit score can open up opportunities to get you lower interest rates on loans like mortgages. And there are two tips to paying on time. You should set up automatic payments, or you should consider setting alarms on your cell phone. You got to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're never late on your payments. Now, if you have balances on multiple credit cards, pay down the total balance one card at a time. You should pay off the smallest balance or the highest interest rate first. Whichever you choose, you should pay more than the minimum payment as much as possible within your budget. So here you could start with card 1, which has the lowest balance by far, even though it has a higher interest rate than card 3. Then you could zero out card 2, which has a similar balance to card 3, but a significantly higher interest rate. This is why writing down information about each of your debts was such an important step. Making these decisions will help you build momentum as you steadily eliminate each one at a time. And then as you pay off each debt, you're freeing up income, but don't spend it on eating out or new shoes. Sorry, getting some feedback in there. Oh, Sawyer's unmuted. You unmuted yourself, Sawyer. Yeah, so when you knock out these debts, don't go spending all the extra money on new purchases and stuff like that. Use it to create debt elimination momentum by adding the money you were paying on all previous cards to your payment on the next one. This will increase the speed at which you're paying off your debt and hopefully your excitement. So repeat the process until you're credit card debt free. Your goal is to have zero balances, but remember, don't close the credit card accounts. It's generally better to keep paid off accounts open from a credit card standpoint. Many people stop charging things and stay out of credit card debt by stashing their cards in a safe place. Another way to stay out of credit card debt is to use check cards and mobile pay that pulls from the balance of your checking accounts. Also, consider canceling digital subscriptions like online video streaming, services that you don't use much, and put that money towards your debt payments. And one way to lower your monthly mortgage payment is to consider refinancing, which could help you free up more cash to accelerate your debt payoff. By paying on time, correcting credit report errors, and reducing debt, your credit score should start to improve. And in time, you may qualify for a more favorable interest rate or type of loan on your home. Increasing your cash flow is milestone number 5. While the suckers gripe about how tight things are, the wealthy are over plotting how to free up more cash flow. This means that you need to seek out ways to earn additional income and better manage their expenses. So let's investigate how to do this. Cash flow is the money that you have available to spend or to save. So after you've established proper protection, your emergency fund, you're focused on debt management, you're ready to now zero in on growing your income. More income can accelerate everything you and your financial professional are working towards. Now, you may feel like George, plumb stuck with your budget and finances, but after learning about the many options and ideas that are out there, almost everyone can find a way to get unstuck and create more cash flow. Let's look at some ways to get unstuck by finding your fire in the hole chili opportunities, as George says there. Here are a few things that you can do to increase your cash flow. Create and stick to a budget, develop a written game plan, and reduce spending on expenses like car and home insurance. And then here are a few more. Reposition your savings, drop PMI on your mortgage if you qualify, and your financial professional can, again, help guide you through these ideas and more. And so there are 3 big moves to supercharge your cash flow. Number 1 is add a side gig. Earning additional income is almost always going to be a quicker way to reach your financial goals than just simply trying to spend less. A recent study actually found that 45% of US workers have a side gig, earning an average of $1,122 per month. Maybe it's time for you to get in on some of that action. Low-cost business opportunities are also out there. As Steve Siebold, one of the authors of our book, says, find a problem that people have and solve it. So by becoming an entrepreneur part-time, you could leverage time outside of your guys' day jobs. As your income increases, a moment could soon come when you transition away from being an employee to being a full-time entrepreneur with even more control of your cash flow. And number 3, lastly, is to adjust your W-2 allowances. A lot of people like to celebrate receiving a big tax refund each year. And if that's you, consider this. By adjusting your W-2 allowances, more of your cash could be going into your paycheck all year long instead of it going to the IRS. But again, consult a tax professional before making any changes to your W-2 allowances. You're still muted, Beck.
What would I do without you, Stephen?
I know. That's why we're a good team.
I forgot I muted myself. Anyways, milestone number 6 is a big one, and it's also an exciting one. It focuses on building wealth. This is the milestone where results appear on your bottom line. This is where you avoid the impact of taxes, losses, and inflation, and you do your best to accumulate and grow your net worth. With the possibility of longevity adding to so many years of your life, that brings up one question. Will your wealth last as long as you do? You have to be able to answer that question. And according to a recent study, 63% of people have a greater fear of running out of money in retirement than dying. And it's a real threat in light of this eye-opening statistic. For retirement-aged couples, there's a 50% chance one spouse will live past the age of 95. Here's the crux of milestone number 6. Whatever stage of life you're in, you have to start building wealth now. Put it another way, yesterday is better than tomorrow. As you embark on wealth building, there are 4 disciplines to help you stay on track and not lose ground. We'll take a look at them together. Save regularly and don't touch it. Review your goals and make adjustments as needed. In addition to that, there are 4 threats every wealth builder must conquer. Think of these as your wealth building enemies. Each will come at you at a different direction, and to beat them, we'll have to address them individually. Let's start with one of the worst, procrastination. As one quote says, procrastination can be, hands down, our favorite form of self-sabotage. Then we'll pick apart market losses, inflation, and of course, taxes. So procrastination is the enemy of saving and investing. It's best described as inaction. The best tactic to overcome procrastination is prioritization. You simply move the 5 actions to overcome financial procrastination to the top of your to-do list. Flag them as urgent and get started on them immediately. You can never get lost time back. It's an asset we all have in so many ways. Stop doing that today. Inflation is also known as the tax of time. The annual inflation rate has averaged right at 2.8% for the last 100 years. Can you approximate the number of years it takes the cost of goods to double at a steady 2.8% annual inflation rate? Here's a hint. Remember the rule of 72 from Masterclass Part 1? It's time to put that knowledge of the rule of 72 to work. The answer is almost 26 years. One of the essential reasons to build wealth using the power of compound interest is to stay ahead of inflation. When you know that this enemy is slowly devaluing your savings by raising the cost of goods, it should drive you to be even more committed to your growth building strategy. Don't let it scare you. Let it drive you to action. The next enemy to wealth building is the impact of losses. Often underestimated, it's a threat that can wreck your savings goals and force you to adjust your lifestyle in retirement. Here's a simple picture that illustrates how people miscalculate the impact of losses. If you were to lose 50% of your investment, which happened twice in the stock market in the last 20 years, what percentage of gain would you need to get back to 100%? The answer is 50%, right? Wrong. It takes a 100% gain after a 50% loss to get back to even. That's not easy to do, which is why it's so important to protect what you have. Maybe this is the reason Warren Buffett famously said this about investing. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. So what can you do to prevent losses? First, look at every option to reduce your risk. Second, consider how to best diversify your portfolio. And third, utilize the right financial vehicles for your situation. Remember, don't procrastinate. Consider inflation and talk with your financial professional about ways to reduce or remove the impact of losses from your strategy. And last, the impact of taxes. The 800-pound gorilla of wealth building threats. Nobody likes paying taxes, especially when you're preparing for retirement. The tax strategy you put in place today can determine how much money you keep, how much money the government, and ultimately how much you leave for your kids. Understanding how financial vehicles are taxed differently can help you make strategic decisions that can pay off big time down the road. So if you save $10,000 at age 29 and earn a 9% annual return each year, you would have $250,000 when you reach the age 65. Think like a farmer for a second. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? Of course, whichever is smaller, which is usually what you start with. A farmer would rather pay taxes on the seed and not the harvest. An investor would rather pay taxes on the money before it grows and not after. You either pay taxes now, later, or never. So which one will apply to you? It depends on the vehicle you choose. Again, this is where a financial professional can help you. When you sit down with them, they can help you figure out how you're being taxed now and what strategy you can have going forward. The colors of the icons matter. Red is taxed now, yellow is taxed later, and the decisions get simpler when you break it down to these categories and colors. Do you have any red or yellow financial vehicles as you see here? If so, now you know how you'll be taxed. Green is the color of money and growth. It's also our color for tax never. Different types of accounts can be taxed completely differently. Green icons mean no tax at all. Green never looked so good, right? Are any of these tax never vehicles part of your wealth building strategy? Again, your financial professional can be a great help choosing the right products and solutions for you. The boxer Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Did I hear he's considering coming out of retirement? He's in his 50s now and hasn't boxed for more than 15 years. Maybe he should listen to his own words. The best way to avoid running out of money in retirement is by not putting yourself in the position for it to happen to you. In other words, stay out of the ring. In a recent Gallup survey, 85% of non-retired American investors strongly agreed that having a guaranteed income stream in retirement to supplement Social Security benefits is critical. Guaranteed income can help you avoid the risk of running out of money in retirement. There are 3 components for reliable retirement income. We recommend you consider all of them. Maintain potential for growth by participating in the upside growth potential tied to the market. Reduce or remove potential for losses by eliminating downside risk tied to the market, and create a predictable income that lasts and prevents the possibility of running out of money in retirement with an income stream that you can count on. So here's what it looks like when you nail it. The gap is closed. Retirement savings goal reached. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we mentioned the gap in Masterclass 1. So if you want to see that slide, just let us know afterwards. So by stacking up multiple streams of income, this person will have a reliable income because they saved the amount necessary and got the rate of return necessary to reach the savings required to make the retirement they imagined possible. They'll never run out of money in retirement and could even have some money left over to leave as a legacy for their children. How does that sound? You can work with your financial professional to figure out what your income streams and numbers need to be.
Good stuff, Beck. Super important. All right, guys. So the last milestone is protect your wealth by creating a will and guarding your legacy. This is even something the rich miss sometimes. Prince and Aretha Franklin, both of whom died just a few years ago, had sizable estates, but neither had an estate plan. Both left their families and business partners with an emotional, financial, and legal mess taking years to sort out. This shows how important it is to protect your wealth with an estate plan. According to Rocket Law survey, 64% of Americans don't have a will. Not surprisingly, the number is higher for younger Americans, 70% of those aged 45 to 54, than for older Americans, 50% of those aged 55 to 64 do not have a will. Prince was only 57 when he died. Your estate plan is how you're going to protect your wealth, your family, and your legacy when you die, or if you're incapacitated. It's set in the documents, including your will, used by your loved ones to carry out your wishes and decisions. And now there are 4 documents your estate plan should include. You're going to need a will, your financial power of attorney, an advanced healthcare directive or living will, and a HIPAA release. Your legal professional can help you put all of that in place. And having an estate plan in place can help you avoid the government making decisions about who gets your property and who takes care of your children. And this process of a court administrating an estate in accordance with state laws is called probate. And nobody wants to go through that if they don't have to. You can also help your family and business partners avoid unnecessary expenses and delays with the probate process with one additional planning tool, a trust. And trust can do many things for you. Again, your legal professional can give you the best advice when it comes to trust. And please keep this in mind that some assets pass directly to your named beneficiaries at death and are not transferred through a will or a trust. Things like life insurance, annuities, IRAs, or 401ks, and other qualified retirement plans work that way. Some bank and investment accounts also distribute funds directly to your named beneficiaries, and jointly owned assets with rights of survivorship pass directly to the joint tenant at death. If you think estate planning will be too expensive or time consuming, then you haven't considered the cost to your loved ones down the road. The truth is there are options for almost every budget, and we recommend that you put this milestone in place right away. So we're almost finished, guys. Think about what concept resonated with you the most. That's why we started on this mission of eradicating financial illiteracy. This is how you start to take control of your finances. We call it the money discovery. And this works like driving directions on your phone. 2 points of reference is all you guys need. Where are you and where do you want to go? The same is true to chart the course of your financial roadmap. And the How Money Works money discovery in the book can help you take care of that. Of course, we suggest that you guys are going to share the information with your financial professional to make sure you're on track to reach your dreams. And if you don't currently have a financial professional to turn to, the first of the 7 money milestones is financial education. And since you've hopefully read the How Money Works book, you've already started down that path of learning how it really works. And we can help you walk through the other 6 milestones. And we can do that in 2 steps. And the first is a discovery call, where we'll spend about 15 to 30 minutes identifying where you are now in your financial life, and most importantly, where is it that you want to go. And then our team will spend a few days crunching numbers, searching the financial industry for the best products and services to meet your needs, and identifying the ones that best fit your current situation and future goals. And then we have solutions. And then we have a solutions appointment where we have a screen share and walk through the steps that we recommend you take to achieve your goals. Well, we're at the conclusion of today's session and the entire How Money Works masterclass. Milestones like you guys just learned about will bring up questions like the ones you see here on the screen. And a financial professional is the best person that you guys can turn to for questions like these and any others that come up. And we'd be happy to discuss this with you if you don't have one or you need help choosing one. So sharing financial literacy and educating is what we do. Thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you for your attention. And we wish you all the best in your financial futures.
Kick-ass presentation.